Hey guys, Rising Star PF2E here again, and this is a practical guide to harrowing in Pathfinder, although you can use this in any system you want. Pathfinder 1, Pathfinder 2, Dungeons and Dragons, any edition you want to, Blades in the Dark, you could use this in World of Darkness, any TTRPG, you can use this system. It's a tarot card-like system to create improv stories and interpretations, and to sort of simulate a, quote, mystical experience. And instead of just telling you what the cards do, I'm going to actually show you practical guides on how to use both the Pathfinder Harrow deck module for Foundry VTT and how to do readings in real life as well with a real deck. Most people, like 99% of people that I meet, have never done a Harrow despite either owning the module or owning like a real deck. I know people who own both the module and a real deck and have never used them once. And it's because it takes a bit of practice, but it's mostly because there isn't a video actually going over it. So that's what this is today. And the module that Paizo made is missing some pretty key functionality to teaching people in a practical way that I've found a solution to. And of course, it was users who figured it out. This takes a bit of practice and skill though, specifically still, even with these things I'm going to show you. It's a bit to learn, but I'm hoping the practical video to go along with this and the editing helps you learn. Harrow is a tarot-like deck usable in everyday life or in any role-playing game. A Harrow deck contains 54 cards across 6 suits. There's 9 cards in each of those suits. Each card has one of these 6 symbols corresponding with one of those suits that's also associated with one of the 6 abilities, or ability scores, such as strength, dexterity, and etc. This symbol is located along the card's edge in one of the 8 positions corresponding to the 8 non-neutral alignments. The suit symbol also appears at the bottom of the card. Those 8 positions are: the Paladin, for instance, is a lawful good card because his symbol is found in the upper left. The Cricket is a neutral good card because it's at the top in the middle. The Desert is a chaotic good card because it is found in the upper right. Or for instance, the Rakasha is a lawful evil card because it's in the bottom left. Or the Silent Hag is a neutral evil card because it's in the bottom middle. Or, for instance, the Liar, of course, is a chaotic evil card because it's found in the bottom right. There's also lawful neutral in the case of the Marriage because it is found on the left side. There's also, of course, chaotic neutral, such as the Vision because it's found on the right side. There are also cards, such as the Bear, that have no symbol on any edge because they are an actual true neutral card. The 6 suits and their associated abilities and corresponding topics are hammers, strength, corresponding with battle, honor, and cruelty. Keys, dexterity, representing children, risks, and trouble. Shields, constitution, corresponding with health, home, and pain. Books, intelligence, corresponding with money, secrets, and stories. Stars, wisdom, corresponding with faith, morality, and trust. Crowns, charisma, corresponding with family, love, and politics. Performing a harrowing. The reading of a harrowing is conducted in 2 parts. First, you'll perform what's known as the choosing, and then you'll perform what's known as the spread. The choosing. Ask your subjects, those who come to you for a reading, what they seek from it. Phrase that request in the form of a single question, then decide which of the 6 suits or the corresponding abilities best suit that question. For example, a question of health might indicate the suit of shields, while a question regarding love might indicate the suit of crowns. Ultimately, it's up to you to choose what suit most fits. A question regarding love could just as well draw upon the suit of stars or wisdom, for example, depending on the circumstances. Remove the 9 cards of the suit you have chosen from the Harrow deck and shuffle those 9, or present them, such as I have, in 6 piles of 9 originally.
And in the name of Gorm, I wish to see how the coming battle goes.
Which is definitely a question and topic that definitely falls under hammers, that corresponds with strength and topics of battle. I'm going to shuffle these 9 cards and then put them face down in 3 different columns from top to bottom of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now I've spread the 9 cards from hammers out as such, face down. You will now look to your subjects and instruct them to each pick 1 card, or you could actually have a whole group just pick 1 card, or have 1 person do it any way that you want to there. But the more subject cards, the more interpretations that are going to inherently happen. Okay? So, that's what I am going to do. I am 1 person asking a question. I am going to pick this. What do we got? We have the Paladin. And this is now what is known as my chosen or subject card. Okay? This is my chosen card at this point. From this point forward, the chosen cards are the most important ones. If we see these cards again, we must interpret them, and they are the single most important thing if they show up again in the next step. But right now, we should look at what the Paladin says. So the Paladin is a lawful good strength card. It symbolizes standing strong in the face of adversity. The Paladin does not back down under any circumstances. This card usually indicates the need to stay the course or do what one knows is right, even if it takes a heavy toll. If the card is misaligned, such a course might be foolhardy. Don't worry about misaligned. We will be getting there. But there's also meaning in the spread itself, or the columns, the 1, 2, 3 that we put them down in, and the axes of left, right, up, down. For instance, the top 3 cards are regarded as positive cards. The middle 3 cards are regarded as unclear neutral cards. The bottom 3 are regarded as evil negative cards. But then at the same time, up and down, 1, 2, 3, this is the past, and it also represents the alignment of lawful. The middle represents the alignment of neutral and represents the present. And the right side, chaotic, represents the future. So you have positive past, positive present, positive future, unclear past, unclear present, unclear future, negative past, negative present, negative future. This matters quite a bit in all of the stuff that we're going to do forward as well, but the reason I'm telling you this now is because we found the Paladin card here in the unclear future. Remember the question. The question was, how is the coming battle going to come? So we could add a value to this that in the near future, just finding this subject card that has meaning in it. And we can create a story or just an idea to go off of to engage the player as we continue. Now, we take all 9 of these cards, we're going to shuffle them, add them with all of the other cards. You do not hold on to the subject card. Always remember what your subject card was. Write it down, because this has to go back in the deck. All of them. We get the complete deck, and then we lay out a spread the exact same way. And with the whole deck together, I shuffled it all incredibly well, and then I took the top 9, and I arranged them as we normally do. And we reveal things from the past to the present to the future. So we reveal 1, 2, 3, interpret, 1, 2, 3, interpret, 1, 2, 3, interpret. And the things that we're looking for, again, the chosen card. That's your big ticket one. That is the most important thing to interpret at all times. If a chosen card comes up, it's usually a pretty big indicator that some real magic is happening here in this reading. But the other things that we're looking for all relate back to that symbol positioning. Remember the 8 positions in relation to alignment? The alignment you can read a bit from, but it's really more about the positioning. And that is really showing the significance of the card and how important the cards are to interpret. So those matches is what they're called. There's 3 different kinds. A true match occurs whenever a card appears in its correct placement. So if you had a symbol card that was in the upper right and it appeared here in the upper right when I revealed it, That means it's a true match. What does that mean? It means that we would interpret the card based on its general meanings. So basically exactly like what it says, like to a T, because it's true, it's exact. An opposite match, let's say we had an upper right card, but it showed all the way down here in the bottom left. That means that we have an opposite card. And what that means is we would interpret the card based on the opposite of its general meaning. So the opposite of whatever we would say on a true match. A partial match occurs if a card matches only the correct row or column, but not both. In that case, we interpret the card based on its general meaning, but with some aspects of its meaning altered at our own sort of discretion. If you do not find a chosen card, a true match, an opposite match, or a partial match, you still interpret at least one card. When we do the 3-card reveal, okay, you're always interpreting at least one. But if you find a match, a chosen card, it's sort of in that order from chosen, true, opposite, partial to how important these cards could be, and you're trying to only really try and pick one unless you get massive importance and it tells a story, then do 2 in one row. Don't sit there for 4 hours going over each card in relation to no. We're looking just for these criteria. Chosen, true, opposite, partial. Okay? And if you don't find one, still say at least one thing. And that's how we decide the importance of these cards when we go 1, 2, 3. Say you had 2 or 3 matches, or 2 matches and a chosen card. Which one do I especially talk about and give importance to? That's how we figure that out. The other side of it is what spin are we putting on the light of these cards? So, for instance, the positive, the left to right, the upper 3, cards found there are normally viewed in a positive light or a true light to what the general meaning, the description of the card is. Most of the time. Stuff in the middle is going to be regarded as unclear or neutral most of the time. A neutral spin on it, something along these lines. And then the bottom, the evil row, or the negative one, again, the exact same thing. A negative light, or perhaps even a possible spin of oppositeness. Which goes on to another point, which is misalignment. Which is when you have a card, say one from up here. So it has a symbol in the upper right, the middle, or the upper left. If you find these down here, it's called a misalignment. And that usually means to opposite it. That's sort of what I meant by the evil thing, to opposite. So if this was a good card all the way down here, we would interpret the meaning oppositely. So now we sort of know what we're doing. We have a subject card, the Paladin, and we found it in the unclear future. The question is, how is the upcoming battle going to go? So now I'm going to actually go ahead and do a little reading for you. And again, we do this 1, 2, 3, starting with the past. Okay? This is us looking at the past in relation to the question. The Rakasha. It's an evil card. It's bottom left. It is right now being found in the upper left, which means you could view this as half misaligned. Is sort of how I would view that. We flip another. The Survivor. This is a good card found in the middle. We don't change the meaning. This is not a match or anything of that sort. The Waxworks. It is a bottom right card. It is found in the bottom left right now. You could view it as slightly partially misaligned. The most important card of this spread is most likely the Rakasha. Unless I like the idea of either of these 2 cards, is what this is telling me based on that importance of matches, or if it's a chosen card or not. Okay, and this is when I totally ad hoc this. And basically, you're going to go to your interpretation book, look at what the card means, because we know this is the most important one, okay? And the card reads, this is a card of dominance and mind control. The creature standing before a statue indicates an exterior force imposing itself upon another. On occasion, this imposition is literal, but more often it is mental domination. Misaligned, this card means that the control can be cast off in the face of new information. Now, this is where it's not all on the GM to make sense of any of this. In fact, it's suggested that most of the time readings are going to be very vague, and usually the GM and the subject are going to have two different interpretations, but this is about having a conversation about this, okay? We know this is the important one now, what it means, it's misaligned. So control, cast away for new information. You could also look at these other cards a little bit. Survivor, we've survived quite a bit, obviously. This is what that represents, especially in the middle. Of course, that makes nothing but sense, especially in the past. In the past, we've been dunked in and out of the wax of life, but we've come out the other side regardless. That's why we're here asking this question, those two things, obviously. But this, I think many officials, many people in the town who are looking for you to defeat these creatures in this coming battle, they might not all have the most truest of intentions. You wonder, and that's all you have to say. And you ask the player, what do you think about that? What are you getting from this? And then you continue forward. And once you get all of that, once you understand that a little bit, right, and sort of what's expected, I think it makes a lot more sense. And so let's continue with this reading. So we have the Uprising. It's not misaligned. It's a hammer card. It's up there. Oh my god. Okay. It's the Bear. It is another hammer card that is indeed true neutral in true neutral. This is like a true match right here is what this is. This is as true could be, right square in the middle. It don't get more telling a story than that. And our very last one is the Demon's Lantern. Not line, not match. The Bear. The Bear is the big thing. And you take a minute to think. Everyone takes a minute to think. Bear. And you go and you mention, what does the bear do? The bear is neutral strength. It is pure strength. People often make the mistake of thinking the bear can be tamed or trained. When someone believes they have the bear under control, that person eventually learns the error of their ways. Brute force might be required here, but the consequences of its use might be severe. This is representing that indomitable will that we have today, this waiting before the fight, this preparation, and it goes along with that subject card of not wavering, going along with that. And we are in a time right now that we should feel pretty confident, I think, with this coming battle is what this is telling us. In this current moment, we have every reason to feel this way. It's how it always has been as adventurers, you could say. And let's continue to the future now. We have a true match, the joke. We have the Forge, slight misalign on the left. Oh my gosh. We have the Paladin, our actual chosen card for this reading, the most important one. It is in our negative future, and it is misaligned on top of that. Oh boy. And this is where I would say, reference these two before you give the last thing. I think that that's a better way of going about it. Of course, people are always scheming and coming up with their own agendas. We already know that, though. That isn't going to stop us going forward. We've survived so much. The Bear. We definitely have every reason right now, and we were very well prepared, as we know. We had all the time to even ask for this Harrow reading, for instance. And you can interpret, like, the Demon's Lantern a little bit, and the Uprising, maybe a past event that's happened in the campaign to the town. Maybe there's been the resurrection of certain ideas in a country over yonder. And then we end up at the Paladin. We could also add a bit of the joke in here a little bit. That's as organic as storytelling gets, I tell you. Because the Paladin, when it's misaligned, represents foolhardiness in that assuredness. And the joke is very much along those same lines. It's about feeling like you can accomplish something and the joke being played on you. I think that it being a true match as well as the chosen adds a flavor to that. Assured, right now, that assuredness, we shouldn't let that get to us. And the joke also represents difficult tasks that you deal with not in the most direct means. There's going to be a great change up in the battle coming. Do not let that foolhardiness get the better of you. That is how the battle is going to go. And I'll just give you one little flip before we get onto the modules, before we get onto the stuff that makes this a little bit easier. Not having to go to a book and interpret it, and also having a module in front of us to do all of the shuffling and all of that sort of thing. And it's that, let's say we had 2 subjects, okay? And someone picked the uprising as one of theirs. We would have did a combination between these, and this would have been focusing on the player who chose this subject card. But then remember, someone else still picked this subject card. And so we could say that the battle could go very well for one person in the party, say, but for another person, they might be a little too egotistical. And that is so organic. And as you could see, doing it in real life requires knowing the positioning of that symbol in relation to the spread and all of that, and identifying what is a match, what isn't a match, and then you also need to go back and forth. The second problem is you got to go back and forth between interpreting between a book or a side resource rather than it being on the card itself. Like, that information is not anywhere near actually when you're doing the actual physical work of it all. So it requires a lot of research, knowledge, remembering what the cards are sort of, to be able to do this in a quick manner. So the module that they made fixes parts of that, and then a sheet that somebody made fixes the rest of it. So let's go into all of that. So let's look at that official Paizo module. So you go ahead and you activate the module, you find the compendium up here, look for Harrow deck, you will find it, and you open it, and you will be able to import the adventure. Comes as an adventure. It'll take you to a little, just cool little thematic scene, and you'll get a guide. This is basically the exact same thing as the paper thing that I showed you, just done up in a little bit nicer of a way. Does that mean that people read it? No, not at all. And I think that's the major problem, is there's no examples, and people don't want to read anything to figure out the example. And this goes on again, the choosing, the 6 suits, what they're related to, those topics, the spread, that whole, this is the good line, which is the positive line. This is lawful line, neutral line, chaotic line. It goes over all of that. Interpreting the cards is all that stuff about the matches, misaligned placements, all of that sort of thing. It also has a list of the cards throughout it. But the main thing that we're here for is the module in of itself. So when you go to cards, you'll be able to see there's a Harrow deck here, and you can hit this button that says new reading. It'll open up a whole thing and make a new reading. The deck has the 54 cards in it, all right? And let's just call this battle reading, okay? We go here, we're going to pick hammers again, and we add a participant. So this is just an actor, player, or whatever. Let's say Jin is one of our first subjects. Let's say Raymond is our second subject, okay? And you could show this to players, and they can actually click to do what we're going to do next. And you can see it's showing you the axes, what people have as a subject card or not. So we're going to go ahead and hit begin reading. This is now going to be choosing the subject cards. That picked it for both of them, or the player could come in and click it, and wow, we got Paladin yet again. We have a Fiend right here. We go to the spread, which when we hit this button is putting all the cards back into the deck and then doing a new spread. Boom. And again, passed. What this module is doing is it will identify when you have a match, or if it's misaligned, it will automatically look at that, and it knows that, and it puts a little thing on it. What's annoying is, to get to the interpretation of the card, though, you actually got to click on it and then hit this, and it sends you to a long list. It's still the same problem of having to look at something else rather than it being sort of in your face. And another thing is, because of the way this is made, like getting back is a bit of a, the UI is not the nicest, the best way to put it. It's just not. It's really cool what they've done with this, but it's not very practical, other than the whole visual part of it, not needing to shuffle and stuff. That's pretty cool. But when it comes to looking at what all the cards do, it's still a bit of a pain in the butt. But we continue through, right? So we got our match, we do our reading, we do our middle. It's the same deal. As you can see, partial match, Jin subject card. And that's what this module is doing. And you can save these also because of the way that works. With the card system here, you can actually just continue saving multiples of these. And there's a button here to actually get to the deck, which is just sort of strange because you're not going to get any meaning from this either. Like, there's just a bunch of weird things about this. And then to get to the cards, there's a separate button you got to find. Anyway, you can see how there's a bit of a problem with this, but this is fantastic for visualizing to players in the game. So what I would suggest, first off, is if you have a real deck, to use the module here or the next thing I'm going to show you to figure out the subject card so you can negate having to shuffle so much. A lot of shuffling, a lot of sort of figuring out the subject card for everybody, and then just have your deck, your real deck, already fully shuffled all 54 cards. So you don't got to shuffle more. You don't got to do anything. It's just, hey, let's use this, figure out your subject cards. Cool. Now I'm going to do an actual one at the table and do that. That's how it's just doing that in real life. If you want to use this in particular. The next thing I'm going to show you is something that fixes all of that problem, but isn't as nice looking. So I don't know if this person's still around. I've seen that they haven't done anything since like 2020 or something, but his website's still up, and it's called Dungeonetics.com. And he has this Pathfinder section that has a couple different tools. The main thing, though, is this harrowing thing. It's a Google spreadsheet, all right? And it has a whole bunch of scripting in it, and it's just sort of fantastic. If you come to this page, you get into it, and you got to make a copy of it into your own account to get the script to work. So you just make a copy in the upper left of file. And what you get is this. Again, you need to make a copy of this spreadsheet in order to do this, all of this sort of thing. It has instructions, and it has two different modes, okay? I'm just going to show you two things. There's also alternative spreads, like the way you arrange the cards. There's a whole bunch of different information on that you can find online. It also supports that. But the two main modes here, and the main spread that you've seen thus far is called the Tapestry one. It's also the only one supported by the Pathfinder module. And there's two options, auto draw and you fill. The auto draw is quite literally pick your suit, right? So let's go strength again. It will automatically pick a subject card and do the whole spread for you. But the main thing is that it actually has all of the information of the card at the exact same time. The only thing it's lacking is the visualization of those cards here. It could be added. It could be added. I might do that one day. But this thing will automatically do it, and you can hit this button again down here to run the script and make it re-deal. Boom. The U-fill is the exact same thing, except you got to actually input the names yourself. You actually put the names in here, and it'll come up with the thing. And another thing is if that auto draw sees that it's misaligned, you'll also see the misaligned text here at the bottom. So this is a way of doing the whole deal of all of that, sort of all in one click, get your subject, but also have the information all in one place, which makes you wonder why the official one doesn't have this kind of functionality, because it absolutely could in that window for all the work that they did into the card system there and the whole showing of the spread. They could have had any means to be able to have this information there rather than need to be in a separate journal separate from the thing. This lets you look at it. It gives you every detail you need to know, and you just do it. So, with all of that information, Raymer, what is the easiest way in 2024 to do this and use the module and have everything working? It's this. Go into Foundry. Use the module. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do a books. We are going to go ahead and select a subject. I'm going to hit begin reading. We are now going to get our person to pick their spread, their subject card. And we got Rakasha yet again from books. We're now going to go ahead and go to the spread. And we're going to go and reveal 1, 2, 3. Trader beating Peacock. And we are going to go right over here. Fill the form. Do your stuff now. Now you have all the stuff in front of you. Do the reading of the past. Go back. Okay, we got a true match. We got a partial match. And we're getting the best of both worlds here. And again, we got midwife, carny, team. Color coding and everything works with it. And again, do your reading of the middle. If you have any problems with the color coding or something, you can always jump back. jump back and forth. To jump between tabs, it is Control and Tab by default in Windows and pretty much every browser. All right? It's that simple. And again, continue on to the future. Misaligned, partial match up at the top. Now you have everything in front of you. Do the final reading. Do the last two that are important into the last third one. Let's say that you understand this all a little bit more. You've followed this tutorial, you've gotten it. So like a way of doing this within Foundry in of itself without the sheet, even though the sheet is incredibly useful and helpful, is this. So let's say the first one I picked was Trader, right? So all I gotta do is click and drag the entry and put it into chat to then make a link to share it with everybody. Let's say that in the present, I decided to go with the midwife. Click, drag, chat, enter. Let's see here. So, of course, we gotta go with Misaligned Cricket here. Everyone looks at the cards. Everyone does their little interpretation. Go through the whole thing. Do the 1, 2, into the third. There you go. Thank you very much for watching. It is currently 5:30 in the morning, and this video took me something like 8 to 10 hours to make, all right? And schedule and do everything. Look, this has been crazy. It's been like 4 or 5 days I've been making crazy videos like this. I just hope it helps, guys. Please like, please subscribe. It helps me a lot and makes me actually want to do this. If you want more videos, you know what to do.